Beautiful passage, and we're going to explore some more of that tonight. Of course, in our Christmas Eve service, we get to walk our way very slowly and purposely through the Gospel of Luke, chapters 1 and 2, and the nativity story that we're so familiar with and we look forward to so much. But I want to sort of throw us back into the summertime. If you remember, when I came back from my vacation in July, we had a message from God. I had felt very clearly that God had pointed me to give a message to you and to carry a message through the rest of the year. So if you remember where we started this summer, I suggested that you are your best self when you realize how much you're loved. Do you remember that conversation, that message? And we sort of lingered on that over the summer, and it's been part of what we've been talking about all year. That you actually get to be your best self when you realize how much you're loved. And that was a piece of wisdom given to me by a former pastor and mentor, Joel Heron, over at Greenville Community Church. And God made it clear to me that that particular message was the one that I needed to share with you. It was the one that I needed to remind you of, to convince you, if it were, of how much God loves you. And our journey had to rest firmly on the foundation of God's love for us. So this journey that we've been on this year, and we've come a long way this year, I think. I think we've come a good long way this year together. But that journey had to be founded upon the foundation of God's love for us. Of knowing and being assured of just how much He loves each of us individually and how much He loves this congregation together. And so I have a strong sense that we are ending the year on a note of peace and hope, where we actually began in a little bit of fear and anxiety. 1 year ago, the path wasn't necessarily so clear for us, or have such solid options for us as we moved forward and we looked down the road for 2017 at what we were going to be facing, or how things were going to play out. And both our congregation and our own family even was at a point where we didn't know what the future had. So the year did begin for us with a little bit of fear and anxiety, but I have a growing sense that we are enveloped in a time of hope and peace going forward. And this connects, you wonder maybe, why am I talking about the summer and why am I talking about this transition and journey? But I think Mary's at this point in our reading today. This is our quaint message from Gabriel to Mary, but put yourself in Mary's shoes for just a moment. And it even says in here that she had to ponder what kind of message this would be as the angel Gabriel comes to her and makes this announcement to her. Mary was about to embark on a scary journey too. But Gabriel spoke profoundly when he assured her, I think, fear not. We hear this with angels when they come and they speak to humanity. Almost the first words out of their mouth are fear not. This time's different, and we're going to talk about that. But he did have to say to her at the beginning of this journey, Mary, fear not. The invitation Mary received was full of danger and uncharted ground. She was a virgin and was just told that she would bear a child, and she was not yet married, and that has serious implications in first century Israel. Could be a death sentence. Rejection, at the very least, by her betrothed. And at that time, it was not so equal, and women often would struggle if they were not married. And so this message from Gabriel is full of danger as she begins this journey. She even asks, how could it be? To even understand how this might come about. And to wonder even what would Joseph do when she delivered the news to him. And what about her community? Oh my goodness, what was her community going to say when they found out about this? it's a tough spot for Mary. Let's be in the middle of all this Christmas joy. Let's be real about what Mary faced and how this journey of hers was not necessarily the quaint, we already know the end of the story that we know now. But here's the big thing that I want us to linger on today. This is our message, I think, for today as we linger on this story. Because Gabriel's greeting is different from most other angels' greetings to humanity. Listen to the words. Gabriel begins with an expression of love. Much like we began our journey at the beginning of the summer with an expression of God's love, Gabriel's message to Mary begins with an expression of God's love for her. And as I do, I go through all kinds of translations preparing for a message, and honestly, this time I settled on the New King James Version as perhaps the most beautiful expression of that. Oftentimes you'll find the message of the Amplified Bible or even the Common English Bible, and honestly, I love the language in the New Revised Standard Version. But for this particular passage, I love what it says in the New King James Version as Gabriel first greets Mary. It says, "Rejoice, highly favored one. The Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women." This is how Gabriel begins his greeting to Mary. Before he even shares the news of the journey, the dangerous journey that she's about to embark, he says, "Rejoice, highly favored one. The Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women." Is that not a beautiful greeting? Oh, to hear that kind of a greeting from the Lord ourselves. So I feel like we have made it through this year much the same way that Mary made it through her journey. We made it through this year on the Lord's love, on his love for us, the fact that he walked alongside us through everything that we've been through the mountaintops and the dark valleys and the struggles upriver and downriver, however it's gone. We've had our good and we've had our bad. We've walked together in this voluntary covenant fellowship of ours. Like Mary and Joseph, who had to travel from Nazareth to Bethlehem. This is first century Israel, mountains and rocks and difficult travel and bandits along the way, and who knows what kind of dangers they faced as they searched for a place to have this child. Just like Mary and Joseph, who have to travel from Nazareth to Bethlehem, so too we are invited in this Christmas season to begin a journey, to start our own journey following after God's plan. And like Mary, our invitation began with the assurance of God's great love for us. That journey begins with God's love for us. And like Mary, the Lord has a great work for us to do if we will accept it. I hope that you believe that. I hope that we don't just come together on Sunday to get filled up again, but I hope that you truly believe that we come together on Sunday, that we struggle through this fellowship, because, come on, people are difficult to deal with, right? And we learned that this season, too. Anyone bumped arms and elbows and shoulders with people in the store knows people are difficult to get along with. And yet we do this thing not because it's a cool club to be part of, but because we have a great work to do. 70 to 80% of Montcalm County has no faith affiliation at all. They don't know the significance of this cross, of this manger, of a Lord who loves them. We had to be reminded of his love this year too. And they've never even perhaps heard the story. So we have a great work to do. We have a great mission to do. We are invited into that mission just as Mary is invited into that mission in her way. And so with the new year spreading out before us, a new year that I think will be full of hope and love and joy, There is a community waiting to see how we will respond to God, how we will respond to his love, how we will respond to his invitation to do a great work here in this community. A community that, as we know, is in great need of his love. Great need of his love. And that community, if I can just be frank with you for a moment, that community is going to be here with us tonight. Tonight, we don't even have to go and find them. 7 p.m., they're going to come through the doors and they're going to come sit in here to experience the joy of a gospel message. And they get to watch us and greet us and see us and see the work that God has done in us this year. So I pray that we'll all come back at 7 tonight, lifted by the love that God has shown us this year, to the point that it is a wellspring that we cannot contain, but that we will share joy and peace and hope with a community that's just looking for an excuse to come. And I pray that we give that to them tonight. That's our message for today. May you experience the truth of it.